background or not. So that may be a way to explain the things in its own way. For example, if you have gone through research methodology in previous classes, especially in your BBL level or BBS level or your bachelor's level, then it would be easier for me to explain some of the terms and terminologies in the research methodology. And especially today, we'll be discussing the business research, because as your college, it's exclusively a business college, then we'll be discussing on some of the research perspectives on business research. So we would perhaps today discuss something about the business research, the concept and the philosophy of business research. And then tomorrow onwards, we'll be discussing on different aspects of the research methodology, including the research designs and other tools to explain. So let me say something which actually is not the business research, but let's talk about the research and the how research is gaining importance day by day nowadays. So अहिले हामीले हेर्छौँ नि, just take any business organization or non-business organization, any institution or organization today, be it the governmental or non-governmental, whatever it is. Nowadays, the scope of the research is increasing day by day, because the research basically it focuses on the decision problem. When there is a decision problem, then automatically there comes the research. And when you go into the research, then obviously you follow the research methods and research methodology. That's why the topic research methodology is very, very much important for you. And for example, so take any business organization, business company, or other type of business organization, for example. The most important thing for today for the business manager is to go into the business decision making. Business decision making process is quite complex. It's very, very complex today, and it's like a double-edged sword. If something slips, then it cuts yourself. That's why the most important thing today is that you cautiously go into the business decision making process, and very often you plunge into the decision dilemma in every organization, be it the government organization, be it the non-government or social organization, or be it the business organization. Whatever it is, there always a problem of decision problem. त्यहाँ चाहिँ सधैँ जुनसुकै पनि organization होस्, nowadays and at present, there is a common problem of common concern of decision problem. अहिले चाहिँ यो decision problem भनेको एकदमै छ. For example, in a business organization, perhaps you understood the objective of any business organization are some fold. For example, sometimes profit maximization, sometimes sales maximization, revenue maximization, sometimes your organization's market share and everything. These issues are very important to deal with. That's why, okay, what's going on? I don't know. Okay, that's why त्यो कारणले गर्दाखेरि अहिले के छ भने the decision problem has a huge concern. अहिले, for example, if you are starting some business in some location, for example, तपाईले कुनै पनि आज बिजनेस हेर्नुभयो हुन्छ भने जस्तो तपाई मिन भवनको कुरा गर्नुस्, त्यो मिन भवन तपाईको कलेज अगाडि चाहिँ यदि तपाईले कुनै पनि एउटा for example हार्डवेयर बिजनेस, तपाईले यदि हार्डवेयर बिजनेस चाहिँ स्टार्ट गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ भने र if you are looking for a space for around बानेश्वर, त बानेश्वर हेर्नुहुन्छ भने there comes a number of questions to be answered. For example, whether this location is appropriate for your business or not. So you don't know, or you are not pretty sure enough that whether we have to start the business this location or not. तपाईँले त्यो लोकेसनमा आफ्नो बिजनेस सुरु गर्ने कि नगर्ने त? दिस इज अ बिजनेस डिलेमा, सरी डिसिजन डिलेमा. त्यही हो डिसिजन डिलेमा. डिसिजन प्रब्लम भनेको के हो भने त्यो ठाउँमा हार्डवेयर पसल गरौँ वा नगरौँ, अथवा त्यहाँनिर हार्डवेयर पसल गरौँ गर्ने हो भने what should you do? के चाहिँ गर्दा हुन्छ? फर एक्जाम्पल, what would be your goal when you are starting any business? Profit maximization, or at least sales, or at least you want to be at a satisfactory level of your business. So what's your, so this is not very much clear. त्यो अवस्थामा क्लियर हुँदैन. त्यसैले के हो भने everywhere there is a decision dilemma. Then decision dilemma हुन्छ. So when you are in decision dilemma, you have to work further. You have to go into the research further. So what should be done? त्यसो भए के गर्ने? त्यस पछाडि then starts the research. त्यस पछाडि रिसर्च सुरु हुन्छ. ओके, यदि if your location is prime one, यदि तपाईको लागि लोकेसन प्राइम वन हो, त्यो तपाईको सीजीआईमा अगाडिको लोकेसन हो भने प्रोबेबली हार्डवेयर बिजनेस भन्दा बेटर त अर्को कुनै स्टेशनरी वा अन्य कुनै बिजनेस हुन सक्ला. So that's why the question now is, मैले अहिले भन्न खोजेको कुरो के हो भने, when you are talking about any type of organization today, you have to go into the decision process. You have to decide something. You have to go into the decision making activities. And when you are not very much sure that what should be done, then automatically the scope of research starts there. त्यस पछाडि त्यहाँनेरि चाहिँ रिसर्च आउँछ. भन्नुको मतलब के हो भने, फर एक्जाम्पल इन गभर्मेन्ट अर्गनाइजेसन, गभर्मेन्टको अर्गनाइजेसनमा नि अहिले केही समयदेखि अगाडिदेखि आइराखेको छ यो सोसल सेक्युरिटी फन्ड. गभर्मेन्टले सोसल सेक्युरिटी फन्ड लन्च गर्नु ठिक छ, गर्नुपर्छ कि गर्नु हुँदैन? Perhaps the government has already two organizations. कर्मचारी सञ्चय कोष छ एउटा, नागरिक लगानी कोष छ. So my question is, so त्यसो भए do you need the third organization? Do you need the third organization for social security activities? For social security fund? Okay, if there is a decision dilemma, if there is a decision problem, then it starts the scope of research. त्यसैले अब यो अवस्थामा के गर्ने भन्ने जब थाहा भएन, जब के गर्ने भन्ने हामी बुझ्दैनौँ भने, हामी स्योर भएनौँ भने रिसर्चमा जानुपर्ने हुन्छ. Okay, another, take an example of business again. बिजनेसमै अर्को एक्जाम्पल लिउँ. त्यसमा के भने, you want to increase your sales, you want to increase your market share. तर what should be done? त मार्केट शेयर बढाउन के गर्नुपर्छ? वा तपाईले सेल्स मैक्सिमाइजेसन के गर्नुपर्छ? अथवा प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइजेसन गर्न के गर्नुपर्छ? You don't know. के सेल्स मैक्सिमाइजेसन गर्नको लागि के प्राइस घटाउने हो? If you decrease the price, if you reduce, scale down your price, then does that ensure your sales maximization? के त्यसले sales maximization गर्छ त price घटाउँदैन? Or you want to go to the advertisement or publicity, promotion, कि promotion मा जाने हो त? Or what should you do? You don't know. Then you should go into the research process. त्यस पछाडि चाहिँ हामी रिसर्च गर्ने. त्यसैले मैले अहिले भन्न खोजेको कुरा के मात्रै हो भने, when there is a decision dilemma or decision problem for any type of organization, then you should go into the research process. त्यस पछाडि रिसर्चमा जाने हो है. त्यसैले the scope of the research today is very much important. It's very stressed. त्यसैले आज हामीले के भन्छौं भने, if you are running any organization, if you are involved in an organization, and if there comes a question of a decision problem or decision dilemma, at that situation always you have to go to the research, and with the recommendation or the conclusion of the research, you start making decision accordingly. That's why the scope of the research today is extremely important. And when you come down to the business level, then in the West, in a developed country or the developing country still, the decision making process are always supported by the research. And these business research are supported by the research methodology. That's why we have been studying the research methodology today. You are getting my points? Are you getting my points?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's why just I want to share the scope of the research and the popularity of the research or the necessity of the research today is extremely felt. एकदमै अहिले चाहिँ रिसर्च बिना चाहिँ हामी केही पनि गर्न सक्दैनौँ जस्तो भइसकेको छ अहिलेको अवस्थामा. So are you getting the slides also?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay. So then let's start now. So before delving into the core of the points, I just want to share one thing. So it's the Bill Gates quote. So he said, "This is a fantastic time to be entering the business world today, because business is going to change more in the next 10 years than it has in the last 50. That means business is changing day by day. The strategy is changing. The approach is changing. The preference is changing. The people's habits and patterns of their consumption is changing day by day. That's why when you are taking the change over time, then the change that you see in the recent times seems to be so much extreme, in the sense that it's exponentially faster than before. That means what was changing in the last 50 years, or what was the speed of the change in before 50 years, is not the change rate of today. That's why, so what was changing in 10 years or 5 years as today, it has very little meaning for today. That means today it's everything is changing in a very short span of time. मैले भन्न खोजेको के हो भने 50 वर्षभन्दा अगाडि 5 वर्षभित्रमा जति चेन्ज हुन्थ्यो, अहिले 10 वर्षमा, अहिले 5 वर्ष, 50 वर्षमा जति चेन्ज हुन्थ्यो पहिला पहिला, अहिले त्यो चेन्ज हुनको लागि 5 वर्ष हुन्छ. 5 वर्षमा त्यो चेन्ज भइसक्छ वा 10 वर्षमा चेन्ज भइसक्छ. That means everything, everywhere, the change is faster. Everything is changing fast. जे कुरा पनि एकदम फास्ट चेन्ज भयो. त्यसैले तपाईले जन बिजनेस वर्ल्डमा जानुभयो भने त तपाईले रिसर्चमा त, सो रिसर्च टुडे इज मोर इम्पोर्टेन्ट. इट्स बिङ very much important, like anything. तपाईँ अहिले त रिसर्च यति चाँडो चाँडो चेन्ज भइरहेछ कि टु कोप विथ दिस चेन्ज यु हेभ टु गो इन्टु द बिजनेस रिसर्च. त्यसको कोप गर्नको लागि पनि तपाईले बिजनेस रिसर्चमा जानुहुन्छ, बिकज एभ्रिथिङ इज changing. त्यसैले, so when the things are changing, when the parameters are changing, when the variables are changing, when the business component and everything is changing every day, जब चेन्ज भइराख्छ नि, there are so much of the business dilemma, a decision dilemma, decision problem. जति चेन्ज हुँदै जान्छ, नयाँ नयाँ कुरा आउँदै जान्छ, डिसिजन गर्न पनि त्यति नै गाह्रो भइराखेको हुन्छ. And the today's business world is so much competitive. अहिलेको business world भने चाहिँ एकदमै competitive. There is stiff competition in the market. That's why there are so much of strategy. One is for adopting, and the next is coping it with. त्यहाँ अर्गनाइजेसनहरु हुन्छ, एउटाले चाहिँ यति स्ट्र्याटेजीहरु ल्याइराखेका हुन्छ, त्यसलाई कोप त गर्नु पर्यो कम्पिट गर्नको लागि. So when a business organization is starting adopting one strategy, then the next organization, which is maybe the competitor, it should compete with it with different strategy or competing strategy. And for that, which will be the competing strategy? Which will be the alternative strategy? Which will be the beating strategy again? Then you don't know. There is a decision problem. There is a decision dilemma. What should be done? You don't know. So to answer for the appropriate decision making process, then you have to go to the research. That's why. So यसले भन्न खोजेको के मात्रै हो भने यति चेन्ज भइरहेछ वर्ल्डको बिजनेस इन्भाइरोमेन्टहरु यति छिटो चेन्ज भइरहेछ कि त्यो चेन्ज सँगसँगै डिसिजन प्रब्लमहरु पनि त्यतिकै छिटो आइरहेको हुन्छ when there is so much of decision problem decision dilemma you have to decide you have to make decision कसरी डिसिजन गर्ने डिलेमा छ भने कसरी गर्ने you have to go to the researchमा जाने रिसर्चबाट जे रेकमेन्डेसन आउँछ त्यही हुन्छ त्यहीबाट गर्ने and knowingly or unknowingly everywhere when you are making decision in your organization knowingly or unknowingly there are so much of research by yourself अहिले हामीले हेर्ने हो भने जुनसुकै अर्गनाइजेसनमा जो डिसिजन मेकिङ लेभलमा हुन्छ डिसिजन मेकिङ लेभलमा भएको मान्छेले सधैँ नोइङली अर अननोइङली दे आर इन्भल्भ इन्टु द रिसर्चमा त इन्भल्भ भइहाल्छ जो पनि इन्भल्भ भइहाल्छ त्यहाँ कसैले यदि पुस्तक पसल खोल्नु पर्यो भने उले कहाँ जान्छ होला भनौँ न पुस्तक पसल खोल्नु पर्यो भने उ किङ्सवे जान्छ अथवा त्यो प्रदर्शनी मार्ग अथवा पानेश्वरको कलेज एरियामा आउँछ कहाँ आउँछ डेफिनेटली कलेज एरियामा आउँछ पुस्तक पसल खोल्ने वाइ किनभने त्यो बिजनेस गर्ने जोसुकैलाई पनि नोइङली अर अननोइङली he or she knows which place is an appropriate place for the business किताबको लागि सबभन्दा उपयुक्त प्लेस कुन हो भनेर त उले हेर्या हुन्छ नि त किङ्सवेमा किताब पसल धेरै चल्दैन जति कलेज वा स्कुल एरियामा चल्छ भन्ने कुरा त उले बुझेको हुन्छ नि त दिस इज द रिसर्च त्यही त हो नि रिसर्च सो when you are involved in a business every decision is supported with the research जब तपाई बिजनेसमा हुनुहुन्छ प्रत्येक डिसिजन तपाईको रिसर्चबाट प्रमाणित knowingly or unknowingly directly or indirectly that's why research today is being more important more important day by day so and this importance is following the exponential rate of change in the business today we are facing हामीले अहिले फेस गरेको बिजनेस रिसर्च चाहिँ बिजनेस इन्भाइरोमेन्ट जसरी चेन्ज भइरहेछ रिसर्च पनि त्यतिकै यो बिजनेसको जुन चेन्ज छ त्यो चेन्ज जति छिटो भइरहेको छ त्यतिकै छिटो रिसर्च पनि के भइरहेछ ग्रो भइरहेछ है मैले भन्न खोजेको यति मात्र ओके देन नाउ अगेन द क्वेशन कम्स व्हाट इज बिजनेस रिसर्च देन सो बिजनेस रिसर्च is an output of a systematic inquiry that provides information on business system to facilitate planning and executing business strategy. So, when you are involved in a business, then the business strategy is very much important for you, for every business manager. Business strategy is very, very much important for them. So, when the business strategy is mandatory for all the organization, business organization, then the strategy making or the beating of through the strategy is very, very much important. And when there comes the question of strategy making, then always the business management may not be fully aware and sure, very much sure about the adoption and the outcome of your strategy. You don't know, you are not sure what would be the result, you don't know. So since there is an uncertainty that you don't know what output your strategy will produce, if you don't know, then you have to go to the research. If this strategy will be adopted, that will be the possible result. To the extent possible, that result would be practical enough. So for that, त्यसैले अहिले भन्न खोजेको कुरा के हो भने business research भनेको it's a systematic inquiry, it's a scientific inquiry that provides information on business system, let's say business decision making, to facilitate planning and executing business strategy. You plan business strategy, you facilitate a business strategy, you execute your business strategy. So for that, one is not enough. One may not be fully aware about the output of the result. At that situation, the research is important. That's why a systematic inquiry of information and planning or executing this business strategy is the business research. त्यसैले हामीले business research लाई चाहिँ हामी अझ के भन्छौँ भने it's a very conventional approach. That's a very traditional approach. Business research भने चाहिँ अलिक conventional approach हुन्छ. भन्नुको मतलब के हो नि there is certain route of a business research. Business research को त एउटा certain route हुन्छ. First this, second this, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. त्यसमा you cannot jump in third instead of, I mean, avoiding the two. यो चाहिँ दुईलाई छोडेर म तीन च्याप्टरमा जान्छु भन्न चाहिँ you can do or step. तपाई जानै सक्नुहुन्न. त्यसैले एउटा कन्भेन्सनल अप्रोच हो. एनीवे यहाँ भन्न खोजेको के मात्रै हो भने बिजनेस रिसर्च भन्ने चाहिँ के हो भने it's a scientific inquiry. It's a scientific inquiry through the information and other data so that you can come up with an appropriate decision making process, and that decision will produce a certain your expected results. Two decision expected results. This is how the business research can be defined. So next question is, why do we study business research? Why do we conduct business research? हामीले business research किन गर्छौं? Business research provides information to guide business decisions or to dispel the business decision dilemma. हामीले त business decision को लागि हामीले research गरेको हो. For example, तपाईले आफ्नो मार्केटमा आफ्नो सेल्स कसरी बढाउने अथवा आफ्नो प्रोडक्टलाई कसरी इस्टाब्लिश गर्ने. If you have that question which is unanswered, यस्तो क्वेशन भयो कि तपाईलाई अब के गर्ने भन्ने थाहा भएन भने अनि तपाईले रिसर्चमा पठाउनु हो. प्राइस घटायो भने के हुन्छ? प्राइस घटाएर पो सेल्स बढ्ने हो कि अथवा प्राइस घटाउने सट्टा अर्को गर्ने हो कि अथवा अर्को गर्ने, केबाट कुन स्ट्र्याटेजीबाट गर्न सकिन्छ, कुन डिसिजन लिँदाखेरि उपयुक्त हुन्छ भनेर if you cannot you are not in a situation to decide yourself, then this way रिसर्चमा जानुस्. जे कुरा if you are pretty much sure, जे कुरा एकदमै sure छ यो गरेपछि यो हुन्छ भनेपछि don't go into the research. रिसर्चमा जानै पर्दैन. तर in business, when there is uncertainty, when there is decision dilemma, where there is decision problem, then you have to go to the research. है रिसर्चमा जानुपर्ने कारण चाहिँ के हो भने it provides you the information to guide the business decision. So business decision लाई guide गर्छ. business decision लाई appropriately guide गर्नुपर्छ यसले. So this is why we should study the business research. So another important thing is that the research should help respond to change. So again, मैले अघिको एउटा बिल गेट्सको कोटमा भनेको थियो के भने business today is changing very fast, at a very fast pace. एकदमै फास्ट पेसमा चाहिँ बिजनेसको इन्भाइरोमेन्टल चेन्ज भइरहेको छ. And the research should respond this change. Business researchले चाहिँ त्यो चेन्जलाई चाहिँ रेस्पोन्ड गर्नुपर्छ. At least they have to cope up with this change. So here, enterprises have long recognized the need to better sense and respond to business change. Business is changing. So with a changing business, the problem are so much changing and problems are complex again. Complex too. That's why to solve this problem, then you have to go to the research. What's different today is that global access to information and real-time communication have fostered an always-on business culture. Okay, today's world is very complex. So this world today is within your fingertip. फिंगरटिपमा छ अहिलेको संसार. You have instant access to information today. तपाईसँग जति पनि इन्फर्मेसन आजको आजै छ, जे गर्न चाहे पनि तपाईसँग छ र संसारसँग छ. At that situation, the business is more complex. यस्तो अवस्थामा त you need to be always on सधैँ हामी के हुनु पर्यो चनाखो सबै कुरा थाहा पाइराखेको हुनु पर्यो त्यस्तो बिजनेस कल्चरमा हामी छौँ where decision making has become a just in time process business decision making त appropriately without delay हामीले गर्नै पर्छ at that situation the today in this changing environment business world अहिलेको जुन changing business world छ त्यस अवस्थामा appropriately in time always in such a complex business environment you have to decide you have to take a business decision you have to overcome the decision dilemma त्यसलाई decision dilemma overcome गर्नुपर्छ so the research should at least respond this change so address this change cope up with this change so business research therefore today is a process so what is business when you go into the process the process ma jन्छ भने it's a process of determining acquiring analyzing synthesizing and disseminating relevant business data information and insights to decision makers in ways that mobilize the organization to take appropriate business action that in turn maximize business performance. Okay, I request you to read it out again twice so that there are quite some propositions presented here. For example, what is business research today? So business research is a determining, acquiring and analyzing, synthesizing and disseminating relevant business data and information. It's a determination of business information. It's acquiring business information. It's analyzing business information. It's synthesizing business information and disseminating business information. And business information and insights, both. Data, information and insights. To the decision maker, to the manager, let's say. To the manager in ways that mobilize the organization to take appropriate business decisions. So you have to acquire, analyze and synthesize the data, information and insights to facilitate business organization or manager to take appropriate business decision or business action. That in turn maximize the business performance. The ultimate goal of the business research, the ultimate goal of the business decision is to maximize the business performances, organizational performances. That's why there are quite a lot of proposition in the business research. For example, so business research simply is the process of determining, acquiring, analyzing, synthesizing, disseminating relevant business data, information and insights for the decision makers, and that mobilize the organization to take appropriate business decisions. And these business decisions will produce the maximization of business performance. This is what the research is about. It's a very compact statement what is on what is business research. Are you getting my points or not? मैले भनेको बुझिरहेछ स्वीकृति उत्कृष्ट नो उत्सिका
छ सर
ओके
बुझिरहेछ सर
बुझिरहेछ है सो only 3 students together कि बढी छ
हामी 7 जना छ सर यहाँ अहिले चाहिँ
अहिले यहाँ all 7 are present now
6 जना छ भनौं अन्जुको दुईटाबाट आइरहेछ 6 जना
okay so I'm getting them okay so fine so therefore business research today as a process it involves so many things. For example, determination of the information or data, insights, of this acquisition, analysis, synthesize. So all these things, the aim of these things is to facilitate the business manager or the business organization to take an appropriate business decision making. And this appropriate decision making, for sure, it maximizes the business performance. That what I want to say. So another important thing that we should understand is that the research always should reduce risk. So when the business are uncertain in this changing world, जब यो changing world मा जब business is uncertain, this is a risky part. It's a risk part. जब changing situation do change over time, जब situations are एकदमै change भइरहन्छ भने there is a huge risk, increased risk. So the business research should reduce the risk in business. The primary purpose of research is to reduce the level of risk of a business decision. Managers use the output of research to guide business decision and reduce risk. त्यसैले यो म्यानेजरले सधैँ ध्यान दिनुपर्ने कुरा के हो भने they have to follow the research recommendations, conclusions, and that guide the business decision, and ultimately that reduce the risk in business. त्यसैले one proposition that should be understood is that always the business research, it should reduce the risk. हामीले यसलाई risk चाहिँ reduce गर्ने गर्छ. So I've been focusing basically on the today's business world is changing, and it's changing very fast. मैले अघिदेखि भन्न खोजेको के हो भने the business world is changing and it's changing very fast. एक त चेन्ज हुँदैछ, दोस्रो फास्टली चेन्ज हुन्छ. त्यसैले so what's changing in the business that influence research today? So त्यसो भए बिजनेसमा के चेन्ज भएको छ जहाँ जसले that influences the research, that should be compatible with this research. So there are quite some parameters, there are quite some variables in construct. For example, the information overload, technological connectivity, shifting global economies, critical scrutiny of business, government intervention, battle for analytical talent, computing power and speed, new research perspective. These are quite some things that they are changing. These all variable constructs, these things are changing in the business. And if they are changing, then the research also follow this change. The research should follow this change. For example, information overload, technological connectivity, and so on. We'll be discussing one by one now. Let's say the first is the information overload. Now look at this information overload. These are the factors. So information overload, we have been discussing this information overload quite sometimes now. अहिले हामीले भर्खर त्यही कुरा गरिरहेका छौँ. त्यो भन्ने के हो भने today when you see the business and the world, even non-business world, the information overload is like anything. Information त तपाईले यति, there are so much of information, यति information छ कि त्यो information को कारणले गर्दाखेरि के भइराखेको छ भने you are aware in a way, you know so many things in a short span of time. एकदमै थोरै समयमा you know everything. It's every information is at your access. तपाईको access मा छ, सम्पूर्ण कुराहरु तपाईको access मा पनि छ. र त्यो access बाट चाहिँ के भयो भने in the business world it creates that it's creating a complex situation for decision process. त्यसको decision process मा यसले complexities पनि ल्याइराखेको हुन्छ. For example, when we are buying something today, तपाईले आज just look at the western world business. हामीले west को business लाई मात्र हेरौँ न. तपाईले कुनै एउटा product लिनुहुन्छ नि, त्यो product तपाईले buy गर्नुहुन्छ, जब किन्नुहुन्छ तपाईले use गर्नुहुन्छ कि at the same time instantly there is an access, there is an easy access that you read that product instantly this time. हैन? त्यो product कस्तो छ भन्ने कुरो त ती रेट गर्न तत्काल सकिहाल्छ नि. र कुनै पनि एउटा product चाहिँ जब कस्टमरहरुले लिन्छन्, जब बजारमा जान्छन्, त्यसपछि त्यसको रेटिङ त तुरुन्तै भइहाल्छ कि ओके यो प्रोडक्टको कति राम्रो प्रोडक्ट रहेछ, कति फर एक्जाम्पल कति स्टारको प्रोडक्ट रहेछ भने त हामी तत्कालै थाहा पाइहाल्छौँ हैन। त्यसले बिजनेसलाई फरक पार्दैन, फरक पार्छ। त्यो के को कारणले भन्दाखेरि यु हेभ सो मच इन्फर्मेसन। अहिले इन्फर्मेसन र इन्फर्मेसन सोर्सहरू यति धेरै छ, त्यो कनेक्टिभिटी यति इन्टेन्सिभ छ जसले गर्दाखेरि तुरुन्तै तपाईँ गर्नुहुन्छ। While the internet and its search engine present extensive amount of information, it flows like anything. Its quality and credibility must continuously be evaluated. You have to evaluate all this information, and based on this information, you have to go into the business decision-making process. And in business research, it should consider these things. Business research like when there is an information overload, and what will be the impact of this information on your business, on your product, on your price, on your markets and everything. You have to be very, very much careful to understand this. And the ever-present access to information has brought about the development of knowledge community and the need for organization to influence this knowledge universe for innovation, or risks merely drawing in data. So जब हामी चाहिँ instant access भयो हाम्रो इन्फर्मेसनहरु हामी थाहा पाउन थाल्छौं, त्यसपछि there is a knowledge community and it has so many things to share again. त्यसले त थुप्रै कुरो शेयर गर्दिन्छ, त्यसले देखाइदिन्छ नि त। फर एक्जाम्पल तपाईले कुनै प्रोडक्ट दिनुभयो भने त्यो प्रोडक्टको राम्रो पक्ष के छ, नराम्रो पक्ष के छ, त्यसको इन्भाइरोमेन्टल इम्प्याक्ट के छ, इन्भाइरोमेन्टल नन इन्भाइरोमेन्टल सोशल इम्प्याक्ट के छ, यो सबै कुरा त तुरुन्तै हामीले थाहा पाइहाल्छौं त। अनि त्यसले हामीलाई के बाध्य बनाउँछ भने whether we have to go for an innovation or there is a risk or something else, you'd get, because you are in very easy access to others. Your product is in very easy access. Sabai त्यति easy access छ, त्यसैले that influence a lot. Stakeholders now have more information at their disposal. Stakeholders सँग यति धेरै information हुन्छ and are more resistant to business stimuli. What you promote, what you want to promote, then at the same time there are other information that checks and that balance your strategy. So information यति धेरै छ कि that makes today's business is complex, and to overcome this complexity you have to go to the research. That means मैले भन्न खोजेको त्यही हो. Are you getting my points? Good. So the next factor is technological connectivity. I'm talking about the technological connectivity. So I needn't to say more thing about the technological connectivity because I think you know better than I do, because I'm not so much savvy in technology. Rather you people, you are. I find the younger generation is savvy. That's why when we come down to the technological connectivity, then you understood we are connected. The market is connected. The organization, the world is interconnected. The world is interconnected. People, product, idea, everything is connected. And it's facilitated by the technological support. So individuals, public sector organization, and business are adapting to change in work patterns, real time and global, because we have been practicing in online course. हैन हामी त्यहीबाट त हामी अनलाइन कोर्स नै पढिरहेको थियौं नि गएको वर्ष वा त्यो भन्दा अगाडिसम्म हामी यसरी अनलाइन कोर्सबाट यसरी जान्छौं भनेर हामीलाई लागेको पनि थिएन। भन्नुको मतलब के हो भने हामी अहिले चाहिँ के भएको छ भने everyone and business also they are adapting changes in work patterns. Work pattern change भइरहेको छ। भन्नुको मतलब के हो भने तपाईले तपाईको प्रोडक्ट कस्तो छ भनेर बजारमा जानको लागि के गर्नु पर्दैन। टेक्नोलोजिकल कनेक्टिभिटी भन्नुको मतलब के हो भने तपाई त्यो अहिले तपाई सर्च इन्जिन अथवा तपाई इन्टरनेटको प्रयोग गर्नुस्, इन्टरनेट प्रयोग गरेर तपाईले आफ्नो प्रोडक्टलाई प्लेस गर्नुस्, तपाईले अनलाइन सेल्स गर्नुस् अथवा अफलाइन सेल्स गर्नुस् र त्यसको चाहिँ तपाई त्यसको चाहिँ इम्प्रेसन के छ त्यसको रिजल्ट हाल्न लाउनुस्। भन्नुको मतलब तपाईले अर्को रिसर्च भनेर पहिलाको जस्तो इन सिटु एनालिसिस इन सिटु त ठाउँ-ठाउँमा प्लेस टु प्लेस गएर रिसर्च गरेर ल्याउनै पर्दैन अहिले तत्काल त्यहीबाट हुन्छ एन्ड इट्स फेसिलिटेड थ्रु द टेक्नोलोजिकल कनेक्टिभिटी यो त्यही टेक्नोलोजिकल कनेक्टिभिटीबाट एन्ड दिस इज इन रियल टाइम वर्क त्यो भने त रियल टाइम द्याट मिन्स के हो भने जस्ट दे क्लिक जस्ट दे रेस्पोन्ड द रिजल्ट इज बिफोर यु अहिले त होइन भने पहिलाको म्यानुअल प्रोसेसमा गइदिएको भए त पहिला इन्फर्मेसन ल्यायो त्यो इन्फर्मेसन ल्यायो एन्ड यु प्रोसेस इन्टु द डाटा सिस्टम एन्ड फाइनल्ली यु रन इट थ्रु अ सर्टेन फर्मुला अनि त्यस पछाडि रिजल्ट निकाल्नु पर्थ्यो नि त अहिले त्यो पर्दैन यु डेभलप अ सफ्टवेयर थ्रु टेक्नोलोजी त्यहाँनिर उनीहरूले क्लिक गरिसक्दा यहाँनिर द ओभरअल स्ट्याटस अफ यर प्रोडक्ट एन्ड एभ्रिथिङ वुड बी डिस्प्लेड स्क्रिन डिस्प्ले भइहाल्छ नि तुरुन्तै इट्स अ रियल टाइम प्रोसेस एन्ड ग्लोबल्ली यो ग्लोबल्ली यसरी आउँछ द्याट्स वाइ त्यो भन्नुको मतलब के हो भने एभ्री वान इज कनेक्टेड थ्रु द टेक्नोलोजीबाट कनेक्टेड छन् एन्ड the changes in the formation of relationship and community it's have been changing everything the relationship between the buyers and the sellers the boss and the staff and general people to others so everything is connected this generates a realization that geography is no longer a primary constraint and nowadays we should admit at least one thing that the geography is not a constraint geography is a constraint because I mean taking class and you are attending class from your own place so that's why the technological connectivity it's making a hell of difference today it's a hell of difference at the same time it has been producing complexities and it has been facilitating the things done in a real time so it has a huge impact and for that also the research process the research should cope up with that all these changes you change like के गर्नुपर्छ भने रिसर्चले एडप्ट गरेर जानुपर्छ so another changing factor today is the shifting of global centers economic centers अहिले तपाईले हेर्नुहुन्छ भने when you are talking about the business the world business is turning towards the Asian type. अहिले संसारको बिजनेस चाहिँ अहिले एशियन स्टाइलमा गइरहेछ नि थाहा छ कि छैन when you are producing goods when you are promoting your goods or services when you are taking approach for your business doing everything is become easternized हामीले भन्थ्यौ नि द आइडियाज वर वेस्टर्नाइज वन्स पहिला पहिला आइडियाजहरु के हुन्थ्यो नलेजहरु के हुन्थ्यो वेस्टर्नाइज हुन्थ्यो पश्चिमबाट आउँथ्यो हैन बट द मार्केट एन्ड द मार्केट strategy they are being easternized today or more precisely that becomes Indianized and Chinese अहिले त business philosophy business strategy market strategy and everything in the business they are making हाम्रो यो Indian पद्धतिमा गइरहेछ Chinese पद्धतिमा गइरहेछ why because they are the global economic centers अहिलेको ग्लोबल पीपल हेरौँ न पीपल सबै वर्ल्ड को अलमोस्ट झन्नै हाफ त यही एरियामा बस्छन् त्यसैले के रहेछ भने यो द ग्लोबल एक्टिभिटी यो ग्लोबल सेन्टर्स अफ इकोनोमिक एक्टिभिटी एन्ड कम्पिटिसन दे आर सेन्ट्रलाइजिङ इन सर्टेन पार्ट अफ द एसिया यो सर्टेन एसियाको पार्टमा भइरहेको छ त्यसैले द कल्चर and the strategy and the business orientation and everything they should be easternized and the research should change itself to should fit के भन्नु छ do you have any question
example दिनु न यसको यो easternized
तपाईले विज्ञापन हेर्नुहुन्छ भने अहिले जति विज्ञापन हेर्नुहुन्छ नि त्यो प्रोडक्ट प्रमोसन सम्बन्धीको यो सबै इन्डियन टाइपमा छ वर्ल्ड भरि नै संसारभरि नै भन्नुको मतलब इन्डियन टाइपको बिजनेस कल्चरहरु दे हैव टु फलो तिनीहरुले फलो गर्नै पर्छ त्यही अहिले संसारभरि त्यही नै छ सो अहिले संसारमा फर एक्जाम्पल त्यो कारको विज्ञापन हेर्नुहोस् त तपाईले संसारभरिमै कारको विज्ञापन हेर्नुहोस् त कारको विज्ञापन गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ एटलिस्ट देयर इज अ प्रेजेन्स अफ फ्यामिली हैन र विज्ञापनमा इट्स नट द अमेरिकन स्टाइल सो and most of the strategy भन्नु न प्राइसिङ स्ट्र्याटेजीको कुरा प्राइसिङ स्ट्र्याटेजीमा के हो भने when you go into the competition then if you really want to increase your market share or sales maximization you definitely play in the प्राइसमा प्ले गर्छ हैन र हाम्रोमा संसारमा त्यही गरिरहेछ हैन त प्राइसमा प्ले गर्दैन प्राइसमा प्ले किन गरे बिकज इट्स इस्टर्नाइज हामीसँग इन्कम धेर हुँदैन इन्कम धेर नभए पनि मान्छेले कन्जम्सन कसरी बढाउँछ भने सस्तो भए पनि बढाउँछ That's why they play into the price. But in the West, there are very little evidence that the price has so much impact on their sales and other things. The philosophy of the business, they are being easternized. Because the global economic power and power centers is in here. China, India, or Brazil, वा इन्डोनेसियामा यसरी गइराखेको छ So the rising economic power of Asia and demographic shifts within the region highlight the need for organizations to expand their knowledge of consumers, suppliers, talent, pools, business models, infrastructures with they are less familiar. मैले भन्न खोजेको के हो भने अहिले हामीले बिजनेस संसारको बिजनेसलाई हेर्ने हो भने बिजनेस गर्ने हो भने बिजनेस रिसर्च सबै गर्ने हो भने के हेर्नु पर्ने रहेछ भने त्यो सबै अर्गनाइजेसनहरु चाहिँ अब आफ्नो बिजनेस कहाँ एक्सपेन्ड गरिरहेका छन् भन्दा यो एसियाको यो ठाउँमा एक्सपेन्ड गरिरहेका छन् नि त्यसैले त्यसको लागि उनीहरुलाई के थाहा हुनु पर्यो भने they should have a very appropriate knowledge of the consumers यहाँको कन्ज्युमरलाई suppliers talent pools business models everything यो तरिकाको हुनु पर्यो नि त्यसैले यस्तो बिजनेसमा यो चेन्ज जो देखिन्छ त्यो चेन्जलाई द रिसर्च शुड फलो रिसर्चले यस कुरालाई फलो गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो म एउटा सानो एक्जाम्पल भन्दिन्छु यसमा चाहिँ सो in late 80s and early 90s late 80s भनेको 1980 को अन्तिम दशक र 1990 भन्छ नि 1990s को अर्ली त्यो डेकेडमा विशेष गरी जापानको अटोमोबाइल बिजनेस वाज डिक्लाइनिङ अटोमोबाइल बिजनेस चाहिँ एकदम कम हुँदै गइराखेको थियो त्यतिखेर सेल्स एकदम कम स्पेशली द टोयोटा भने चाहिँ एकदम अफोर्डेबल कार अब लो प्राइस कारहरुमा पर्छ त्यो लो प्राइस कारहरु चाहिँ एकदमै कम भइराखेको थियो के त्यसको सेल्स चाहिँ कम भइराखेको थियो यसको इम्प्याक्ट पनि परेको थियो त्यो चाहिँ एशियन क्राइसिस पनि त्यही बेला भएको थियो र अलिकति कम भइराखेको थियो के त्यसो भए अब यसलाई कसरी सेल्स बढाउने त कसरी प्रमोसन गरौँ हामी भन्दाखेरि त्यहाँनेरि एउटा उनीहरुले अप्रोच ल्याएको थिए हैन त्यो एउटा अप्रोच चाहिँ के भन्छ भने लिटल थिंग्स वी डू त्यस्तो अप्रोच लिएका थिए उनीहरुले एन्ड एट द सेम टाइम अर्को त्यो लिटल थिंग्स वी डू भन्ने अप्रोचको बीचमा उनीहरुले एउटा प्रमोसन गरेका थिए कारको त्यो कारको उनीहरुले चाहिँ स्लोगनबाट सुरु गरेका थिए स्लोगन के अप्रोप्रिएट स्लोगन हुन्छ त हाम्रो भन्दाखेरि अमेरिकामा जुन स्लोगन अप्रोप्रिएट हुन्छ नेपालमा त्यही हुन्छ भन्ने तपाईलाई लाग्छ लाग्दैन त्यस्तो हुँदैन फर एक्जाम्पल उनीहरुले के गरे भने त्यसो भए हाम्रो ग्लोबल मार्केटमा हामी सेगमेन्ट गरेर प्रमोसन गरौँ र प्रमोसन गर्दाखेरि के गरौँ भने वर्ल्डको जुनसुकै कम्युनिटीको वर्ल्डको जुनसुकै ठाउँको मान्छेको पनि सबैभन्दा प्रिय जे छ त्योसँग आफ्नो कारलाई जोड्दिनु बुझ्नुभयो भएन उनीहरुले भन्न खोजेको के हो भने कारलाई प्रमोसन गर्नु छ भने संसारको जुन ठाउँको मान्छेहरुको सबभन्दा नजिक जे छ प्रिय जे छ त्योसँग जोड्दियौ भने फर एक्जाम्पल इन इन्डियामा आएपछि कस्तो प्रकारको प्रमोसन स्ट्र्याटेजी लिने भनेर चाहिँ त्यो टोयोटाले हेर्दाखेरि उले के भन्यो भने त्यहाँ यु सबभन्दा मान्छेले सबैभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण यु आफै हो सब प्रत्येक व्यक्तिले आफैलाई सबभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण ठान्छ उसले स्लोगन के राख्यो भने यु योर फ्यामिली एन्ड टोयोटा, तपाईँ तपाईको परिवार र टोयोटा। किनभने मान्छेले सबभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण के राख्छ भने आफूलाई आफू महत्त्व हुन्छ, त्यस पछाडि यो इन्डियन कन्टिनेन्टमा, यो साउथ एसियन अथवा इन्डियन कन्टिनेन्टमा चाहिँ सबभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ आफू आफू पछाडि आफ्नो परिवार, हैन? यु योर फ्यामिली एन्ड टोयोटा भनेर भन्छ। अनि त्यस पछाडि यो जब उता यो मिडल इस्टमा गयो, मिडल इस्टमा गइसकेपछि त्यसलाई अलिकति चेन्ज गर्यो। उसले के भन्यो भने यु योर मदर एन्ड टोयोटा, उसले तपाईँ तपाईको आमा, योर मदर एन्ड टोयोटा। त्यो टोयोटालाई त्यसरी उसले जोड्यो। एन्ड ड्यू टु द डिफरेन्ट कल्चर, त्यो डिफरेन्ट कल्चर, डिफरेन्ट उनीहरूको फिलोसफी, त्यो डिफरेन्ट उनीहरूको जुन सर्कमस्टेन्स थियो त्यसलाई उसले क्याच गरेको हो नि। त्यो त भनेपछि के हो भने इन्डियामा बेच्दा चाहिँ उसले छुट्टै प्रकारको एक प्रकारको स्ट्राटेजी लिनु पर्दो रहेछ, अनि मिडल इस्टमा अर्कै प्रकारको। भनेपछि के रहेछ भने इन्डियामा यु योर फ्यामिली एन्ड टोयोटा भन्यो भने उहाँ मिडल इस्टमा गएपछि यु योर मदर एन्ड टोयोटा भन्यो। जर्मनीमा गएपछि उसले चेन्ज गर्दै यु स्क्यान्डिनेभियन सबैमा यु योर सन एन्ड टोयोटा, यु योर सन एन्ड टोयोटा, तपाईँ तपाईँको छोरा। किनभने उनीहरूले प्रेफरेन्स उनीहरूले रेटिङ गरेको थियो, प्रिफरेन्स रेटिङ गर्दाखेरि पाएको थियो। अब यहाँ इन्डियामा जे भन्यो त्यो भनेन जर्मनीमा यु योर सन एन्ड टोयोटा। र अमेरिकामा गएपछि स्टिल चेन्ज यु योर गर्लफ्रेन्ड एन्ड टोयोटा, यु योर गर्लफ्रेन्ड एन्ड टोयोटा। भन्नुको मतलब के हो भने यो चाहिँ के हुने रहेछ भने त्यो जब इकोनोमी चेन्ज हुँदै जान्छ, जब सोसाइटी चेन्ज हुँदै जान्छ, देन यु हेभ टु फलो अकर्डिङली। त्यसैले के हुन्छ भने with the shifting economic power, with shifting the centers of economic activity, then you have to internalize your idea, your philosophy according to that society. त्यो सोसाइटी सँगै नै गर्नुपर्छ नि। जस्तो हामीले इनर गार्मेन्ट्स एन्ड कस्मेटिक्स, इनर गार्मेन्ट्स एन्ड कस्मेटिक्सको हामीले जसरी अमेरिकामा विज्ञापन गर्छौँ, जसरी सेल्स प्रमोसन गर्छौँ, हामी मध्य पूर्व वहाँ साउदी अरेबियामा त्यसै गरेर गर्न सक्छौँ? डु यु थिङ्क? नो, यु क्यानट, बिकज द सोसाइटी इज डिफरेन्ट देयर। द्याट्स वाइ यो ग्लोबल सेन्टर्स अफ इकोनोमिक एक्टिभिटी एन्ड कम्पिटिसन एभ्रिथिङ त्यसलाई हेऱ्यो भने के हो भने यु हेभ टु अकर्ड योर बिजनेस स्ट्राटेजी, यु हेभ टु अकर्ड योर बिजनेस एभ्रिथिङ टु द सोसाइटी, सोसाइटीसँग अकर्ड गर्नुपर्छ। त्यसैले रिसर्च पनि, रिसर्च सुड रेस्पोन्ड दिस चेन्ज, रिसर्च सुड एटलिस्ट एड्रेस दिस चेन्ज। त्यो चेन्ज सँगसँगै जानुपर्छ है रिसर्च पनि। एन्ड इन्क्रिजिङली क्रिटिकल स्क्रुटिनी अफ बिग बिजनेस। ओके, द कन्सेप्ट अफ बिजनेस इज चेन्जिङ। अहिले त बिजनेस भने त के छ भने तपाईँलाई थाहा छ कि छैन, पहिला when there was a case in Vietnam, अब्बा ओ नाइके जरे एडिडास, म आफै अलमलमा परेँ है। ए रिबक, मेबी रिबक थाहा छ? जब रिबकको प्रब्लम भयो भियतनाममा, के भयो भन्दाखेरि के भनिदियो भने रिबकले चाहिँ त्यहाँ बालबच्चा, महिला, प्रेग्नेन्ट वुमेनहरूलाई काममा लगाइरहेछ, उसले त्यस्तोमा प्रड्युस गरिरहेछ भनेर जब कुरा आयो, त्यस पछाडि रिबकको ग्लोबल सेल्स घट्यो, बिकज द्याट वाज नट एन एथिकल बिजनेस। द्याट वाज नट एन एथिकल बिजनेस। त्यो एथिकल भएन, यस्तोमा गर्नु हुँदैन, डामाडोल नै भयो। भन्नुको मतलब यति स्क्रुटिनिङ भइरहेको छ संसारमा, यति स्क्रुटिनिङ भइरहेछ। सो कस्तो वस्तु उत्पादन गर्छ, कसले उत्पादन गर्छ, कस्तो प्रोसेसले उत्पादन गर्छ, त्यसले समाजमा के दिन्छ हैन, के इम्प्याक्ट दिन्छ, कस्तो सपोर्ट गर्छ, त्यो सबै स्क्रुटिनिङ हुन्छ। र त्यसले अहिले जस्तो भनौँ न, अहिले बिल गेट्स फाउन्डेसन छ हैन, बिल गेट्स फाउन्डेसनले यति फिलान्थ्रोपिक वर्क गरिराखेको छ जसले गर्दा उसको बिजनेस बढिरहेछ। र त्यस्तै खराब काम गर्ने कोही मान्छे, कोही बिजनेस आयो भने त्यसको घट्छ। भनेपछि संसारले स्क्रुटिनिङ गरिरहेको हुन्छ यसले के गर्छ र कस्तो गर्छ भन्ने। त्यस्तै यसको स्टेक होल्डरहरूसँग उसको कस्तो काम गरिरहन्छ, कस्तो रिलेसन छ। So the availability of information has made it possible for all the firm's stakeholders to demand inclusion in the company decision making. अहिले हामीले हेर्ने हो भने this ABC organization is equal के अरे opportunity provider यस्तो भने हुन्छ नि, थाहा छ कि छैन? त्यो भने के हो? We are the equal opportunity provider. त्यो उनीहरुको स्क्रुटिनिङ बेटर होस् भन्न खोजेको। While at the same time evaluating the level of societal suspicion, societal acceptance कस्तो छ त, suspicion कस्तो छ त, त्यो पनि हेर्छ त्यतिखेर। त्यसैले अहिलेको वर्ल्डको बिजनेस भनेको it should follow some ethical standard and the stakeholder concern, stakeholder को concern पनि हुनुपर्छ, and inclusion of the large mass to your decision making process. Decision making process मा large mass लाई लिनुपर्छ through by any means, जुनसुकै तरिकाबाट गरे पनि हुन्छ। So another changing factor is the government intervention. Nowadays there is increased level of government intervention in so many terms. For example, the quality of the product, the standard of your product producing processes, everything. अहिले के रे पहिला कसको ट्रम्पको कसको छोराको बिजनेसमा ट्याक्स नतिरेको भनेर कत्रो काण्ड मच्यो, त्यो बिजनेस नै खराब भएर गयो उसको छोराको कि छोरीको कसको को। सो अहिले के छ भने there's huge government intervention in so many terms, प्रोडक्टको क्वालिटीमा, स्ट्यान्डर्डाइजेसनमा, अथवा उसको कर्पोरेट सोशल रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटीमा, अथवा उसको रेगुलेटरी कन्फर्मिटी. There are so many things. So as public sector activities increase in order to provide some minimal or enhanced level of social services, governments are becoming increasingly aggressive in protecting their various constituencies by posting restriction on the managerial and business research tools. एकदमै सरकार पनि धेरै कुरामा नियन्त्रण गर्न आउँछ हो, त्यसलाई पनि this is a changing factor and this change should be adopted, should be addressed by the researchले यो पनि हेर्नुपर्छ। Battle for analytical talent, it's huge. अब यो अहिले भन्ने हो भने त संसारभरि the world, the global is a single market where you can compete anywhere in the world. There is a talent hunt process. Talent hunt process नै छ त संसारभरि जहाँ पनि हुन्छ त्यस्तो भइरहेको छ। झन् बिजनेसमा त झन् धेरै छ, झन् राम्रो ट्यालेन्टहरु त त्यहाँ त एकदमै उनीहरुले बढी खोज्छन्। So managers face progressively complex decisions, applying mathematical models to extract meaningful knowledge from the volumes of data and using highly sophisticated software to run their organizations. अहिले संसार हेर्ने हो भने यो यति complex भएको छ कि त्यसमा you need so much of talented people. You need so much of talented people. And you have to hunt them, you have to collect them as a intangible capital of your organization. तपाईको organizationको capital हो त्यो भने। So the shift to knowledge intensive industries puts greater demand for scarcity of well-trained talent. त्यसैले यस्तो अवस्थामा त तपाईलाई त एकदमै high quality trained people, talented people हरु चाहिन्छ। अब so in your research also you need such type of talented people who can run very sophisticated mathematical models that produces meaningful knowledge from a huge array of data using very sophisticated software. And you should have so much knowledge, you should have that kind of knowledge in the research. That's why it's changing. It's not like the research that you had been doing in 1960s or 50s. Today's world is very complex. So computing power and speed. As I said, today we are living in such an epoch, in such a age where almost every activities and decision are on real-time point, real-time mounts. Instantly, instantly, the impact of this work is on your business or process. तुरुन्तै आउँछ, तुरुन्तै हुन्छ अहिले. Because there is a low, अब अहिले यो सबै काम गर्न it's possible, low cost. Lower cost data collection, better visualization tools, more conceptual power, more and faster integration data, and real-time access to knowledge are now managers' expectation. You have to conduct your research to shoot fit. They sit fit गर्ने पर्यो. You have to follow this. The research should follow this. The research method should follow this. Research methodology should follow this. Okay. And finally, perhaps, the new perspectives on established research methodologies. The world is changing and the methodology should be changing. Older tools and methodologies, once limited to exploratory research, are gaining wider acceptance in dealing with a wider range of managerial problems. Oh, the models are new. The insights are new. The process is new. They're changing. Research method. For example, when you are talking about the data collection process, perhaps in the 1960s, you'd be involved in data collection process in the field and so on. But in 80s, maybe the newer term comes, this is data capitalization. And in 90s, data mining. And so it's changing day by day. यसको term, methodology, process सबै day by day change भइरहेको छ. So when you are talking about the research and research methodologies, then new perspectives, new methods, new methodology has been coming. So you have to fit, you have to be very much familiar, and you have to follow all these changes. Okay, thank you. And today we had discussed some of the things that we need to understand in business research, basically. हामीले यो बिजनेस रिसर्च भनेर सुरु गरेकै छैन. अब हामी रिसर्चको इन्ट्रोडक्सन बोल्दै मैले आज भन्न मात्रै खोजेको हाउ इट्स इम्पोर्टेन्ट, हाउ द रिसर्च इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट इन बिजनेस म्यानेजमेन्ट. बिजनेस म्यानेजमेन्टमा रिसर्च हाउ इट इज नेसेसरी, हाउ इट इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट, त्यो मात्रै भन्न खोजेको. एनी क्वेसन? Are you getting my point? म त्यति धेरै कुरा बुझिरहेको छैन. अब बुझिया छ कि बुझिया छैन, because it's like one way traffic. म चाहिँ बोल्दै छु. I don't know others they are getting my points or not. Anju, Manik.
हजुर सर बुझिरहेछौँ.
Okay, Manik.
बुझिरहेछु सर.
Huh? Okay, म नाम हेरौँ है को को रहेछ. अर्चना उप्रेती, she is co-host also. Anju Koirala, right? Are you held from the same discipline? Management बाट आएको हो पहिला?
होइन सर, म BSc बाट हो.
Okay, agriculture.
हजुर सर.
Okay. Manik केबाट हो?
म म्यानेजमेन्ट ब्याकग्राउन्ड हो सर, BBA हो.
BBA. Okay, in BBA you have gone through the research methodology, I know.
Yes sir.
Okay, Srikriti?
सर म पनि BBA बाटै हो.
केबाट?
BBA.
BBA. Okay. Utshika?
म IT ब्याकग्राउन्डबाट हो सर.
IT. Oh, you know better than I do. Okay, if you have anything, I'm here to discuss. कस्तो लागेको छ फेरि क्लास कस्तो छ? If you don't understand, if you have any confusion, you can just stop me and we can have a small discussion in between. ठिक छ?
हुन्छ सर. सर हामीलाई जेनरल कोर्सको ओभरभ्यू गराइदिनु न, यो सेमेस्टर भरि कसरी पढ्छौँ के पढ्छौँ.
Okay, general course ko chahi, basically we will go to the introductory part of the research methodology, and then second we'd be discussing on the research design, and third cluster would be the data collection and data processing. So तपाईहरुले त्यो आफ्नो कोर्स पाएको छ कि छैन?
पाएको छ सर.
ओके. अनि अर्को डाटा एनालिसिस एन्ड रिपोर्टिङ सिस्टम त्यो क्लस्टरमा हामी जान्छौँ एन्ड विल बी डिस्कसिङ एभ्रिथिङ.
सर यो थेसिसको लागि हो?
होइन, दिस इज द रिसर्च मेथोडोलोजी. एन्ड इन राइटिङ थीसिस यु हेभ टु फलो द मेथोडोलोजी, द्याट्स इट. त्यो हामीले भन्न खोजेको चाहिँ थीसिस लेख्नको लागि सहयोग गरे होइन. यो चाहिँ के हो भने इन बिजनेस you have to take advantage of the business research. त्यो भन्न खोजेको. In any organization you have to take the advantage of research. त्यो चाहिँ भन्न खोजेको.
हाम्रो पनि थेसिस लेख्नु पर्ने थियो कि लास्ट सेमेस्टरमा चाहिँ.
हो, अनि थीसिसको लागि त डेफिनेटली इट वर्क्स, इट हेल्प्स.
सर यो रिसर्चको लागि टुल्सहरु पनि हुन्छ है, त्यो पनि हामीलाई
त्यो बारेमा त व्यापक पढ्नु पर्छ नि. Once we complete the research design process, then obviously we have to go to the tools for analysis, tools for data collection and everything. त्यो जम्मै पर्छ नि, त्यहाँ गर्नु परिहाल्यो नि.
के पनि हुन्छ नि सर, हामीलाई ब्याचलरमा भन्नुहुन्थ्यो लाइक एकछिन मात्र चलायो होला, त्यसपछि मास्टर्समा चाहिँ तिमीहरूले राम्रोसँग त्यो चलाउन सिक्छ, डाटालाई कसरी सिम्प्लिफाई.
डेफिनेटली सिक्नै पर्यो नि.
कस्ता टुल्सहरु हुन्छन् र सर? मतलब
एउटा सफ्टवेयर जस्तो के हुन्थ्यो कि आइ एम नट श्योर.
एसपीएसएस हुन्छ, इभ्युज हुन्छ, स्टार्टा हुन्छ, एमोस.
त्यो पनि हामीले सफ्टवेयर राख्न कलेजले.
I don't know, तर म चाहिँ एक दुईवटा सफ्टवेयर इफ आई हैव टाइम म सर्टेन उसमा म भनिदिन्छु, गरिदिन्छु.
हुन्छ सर.
केही छ त?
थिएन सर.
Okay, then thank you for today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.